Oh, Sarah, did you get the gift I sent you? The lobster must have been delicious, right? I replied to Karen's words. My eldest son ate it all by himself. What? Karen's voice trembled as she responded, and she suddenly started panicking. Go check on your son, please. I retorted to her frantic request. No way, and dismissed it. However, reluctantly following her advice, I headed towards the bathroom near my eldest son's bedroom and witnessed an unbelievable scene. My name is Sarah. I'm turning 60 this year. I married my husband at 19 and was blessed with 3 children. At 20, I had my eldest son, Mike, and at 23, I gave birth to twin daughters, Betty and Emma. Now all 3 are married. My eldest daughter lives far away in Spain. It was lonely when she left, but my younger daughter moved to the next town after getting married, and now lives in an apartment near her in-laws. And my eldest son's family has been living with us. It's a blessing to have 2 of them nearby. In this rural area, it's common for families to live with their eldest son, and multi-generational households aren't rare. The tradition of passing down the family home to the eldest son is still strong here. Naturally, we plan to hand our house over to our eldest son. My husband owns several properties, so we have a decent passive income. Yet we live modestly and happily. We don't indulge in luxuries, but we can afford gifts for our grandchildren. Especially for my eldest daughter, who I can't see often. I regularly send gifts, which she always appreciates. She had a boy and a girl a few years ago. Though we can't see each other often, the grandchildren always call us via video chat to thank us for the gifts. That's one of my joys. My younger daughter has a big family with 3 boys and a girl. She works, but her eldest recently started playing soccer, so she seems particularly busy. Sometimes we take care of her children at our house. And my eldest son and his wife have a boy. They live with us, but he doesn't talk to me much lately. Maybe because he's in his rebellious phase. However, having many grandchildren and seeing them all healthy and well is my happiness. But living together brings its own set of problems. In the past, a mother-in-law's word was law, and I never dared to defy mine. She was strict. I don't want to be like that, but there are things I must teach. Living here in the countryside, there's a minimum level of community and family interaction that my eldest son needs to know, or he'll struggle. That's why I asked Karen, my daughter-in-law, to help with things like arranging Christmas cards and gifts for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Since we own properties and my eldest son is set to inherit them, these relationships are very important. I often tell him this. However, he responds with, "You're so annoying. Leave me alone," and seems to dislike me and my husband, who supports me. And when I talk to Karen, she doesn't want to help either. Come Thanksgiving, she'd say she's traveling with friends and leave the house. And for Christmas, she'd go to her parents' house from mid-November through the New Year's holidays. I never tell her not to go. In fact, I think she should visit her parents. But such a long holiday break is unheard of. And Karen's parents live in the same city, just in a neighboring school district. They could meet any time, not just during the holidays. So while I'm dissatisfied with her long visits home, I end up doing the end-of-the-year cleaning of our large house all by myself. Seeing my struggle, my younger daughter and her children started helping out a few years ago, which has been a relief, but I really think it's Karen's responsibility, as she lives here. I've mentioned it to my eldest son, but he doesn't seem to say anything to Karen. And my son, busy with work, doesn't bother to help either. Contrastingly, my younger daughter helps with arranging presents and making Christmas cards even on her precious days off. She's truly a godsend. I've had my reservations about Karen's behavior in everyday life. She's a stay-at-home mom and is home every day. She does drive the grandkids to and from school and tutoring, but she doesn't do housework. She barely manages the laundry, but only their own clothes, never touching ours. I've compromised, thinking it's okay as long as they handle their own laundry. After all, family or not, they're still other people. I thought it would be great if we could just do it for ourselves. However, she'll say, "Sarah, I'm leaving the laundry here. dumping muddy clothes or items needing hand washing into our basket, as if expecting me to do it. I recall since the grandkids were babies, I've been the one washing anything stained or needing hand washing. It didn't bother me before, but should I always be the one to do it? I once confronted her. Karen, wash your son's dirty clothes yourself. Don't just put them in our laundry basket. Her response was exaggerated. Of course, I'll do it when I can, but a little help would be nice, wouldn't it? I was taken aback by her words. I wanted to throw those words right back at her. I'm the one who wants family cooperation. There have been many such incidents. Her attitude, the local customs, the long-standing traditions, I think they're the cause, and I understand why she might dislike them. Being family doesn't mean you don't need to be considerate. That's why I've always tried to be accommodating towards Karen. I've never forced her to attend gatherings. I've done what I can myself. Karen may be as she is, but there's no doubt she supports my eldest son and is devoted to the grandchild. We've managed to live together for over 10 years by finding a middle ground. And now we're in December again. Today is my 60th birthday. But there's no celebratory mood, just as busy as every year. Karen went to her parents' house about a half a month ago. In the evening, thinking I'd like something nice for my birthday dinner. I'm home, I heard from the entrance. Oh, Mike, you're early. It was my eldest son. He seems to have finished work early today. He handed me a large package. Here, for your 60th celebration. The bag was from a department store. I was surprised. Usually my husband doesn't even respond properly when I talk to him. Even now, not a word of happy birthday. But the fact that he thought enough to celebrate touched me. Thank you. I'm so happy. My son gruffly said he'd change and left. My husband peeked in. What's that? Just something. I went back to the dining room and opened it. But the moment I saw what it was inside, I froze. Quite a fancy lobster, my husband said with a wry smile. He knows I have a shellfish allergy. Although it's not severe, just some itching if I eat it. My eldest son should know too, but it's no issue for cooking. After all, he always loved lobster, so it's often been on our table. I only avoid eating it, so maybe he forgot. I felt a bit disappointed, but mostly I was happy. With that in mind, I set the lobster on the table, which instantly looked lavish, and just made a simple meal with some frozen mackerel I had. My eldest son came back after showering. My husband then headed to the bathroom. Such a magnificent lobster. Thank you. I called out to my son from the kitchen. Yeah. He replied shortly, then looked away and sat down at the dining chair. Let's all eat together. My son started eating without responding. He's always been gruff and quiet, but it seems to have gotten worse since he got married. Maybe he doesn't like how I talk to Karen, so I've been keeping my distance from him lately. But seeing his eyes light up at the sight of the lobster was just like when he was a child. I was happy, hoping for a family meal just between us today. My husband returned, and both of us sat down at the table. However, I was surprised when I saw the table. But I was shocked to see the lobster was just a shell. Where's the lobster? I asked my son. I ate it. You're allergic, Mom, he said nonchalantly. Stunned, my husband spoke for me. What do you mean? You sent her lobster knowing she can't eat it? It's better than nothing, right? My son didn't seem remorseful. Feeling pathetic for being happy and saddened by my son's actions, I quietly finished my meal and retreated to my room. What's the big deal? Turning 60 isn't special. If I can enjoy it, that's all that matters, my son said dismissively, and my husband scolded him. After calming down, I came out of my room. My husband and son were still in a tense mood. I'll thank Karen for you. She prepared it after all, my son told me amidst the tension. Why should Sarah thank Karen? My husband yelled. Enough, Henry. It's my fault for being happy about it. My son, showing anger, left the dining room. Feeling sorry for my husband, who looked at me with pity, I silently started cleaning up. Then I showered and went to the bedroom alone, leaving my husband behind. Entering the bedroom, I saw a missed call on my phone. It was Karen. It was late. But maybe she needed something, so I called her back. "Hello, Karen?" "Ah, Sarah, did you get the gift?" "Yes," I responded briefly to her question. "Was the lobster delicious?" I replied to Karen. "The thing is, I have a mild allergy to shellfish. Mike ate it all by himself." "What?" Karen's voice trembled in response, and she suddenly sounded panicked. "Mike? Where is he now?" "I don't know. Maybe in his room. It's been quite a situation." When I said that, she sounded distraught. "Please go check on him." "I won't," I refused. "He'll come out if he feels remorseful." "It's not about that." Karen sounded frantic. I asked in response to the visibly panicked state. "What's going on? Why are you in such a hurry?" "Just go quickly." Reluctantly, I went to my eldest son and his wife's bedroom. It had been quite a while since my eldest son went to bed. I assumed he would be asleep by now, but I knocked and called out. "Mike, are you sleeping?" There was no answer. "Seems he's asleep." I spoke to Karen, who was on the other end of the phone call. "I'll be right back," Karen said before hanging up. What was that about? I was about to return to the bedroom when it happened. "Mom!" A pained voice called out, making me look up. "Mike?" The voice was coming from the bathroom at the back of the second floor. The door was wide open, and I could see half of Mike's figure. "What's wrong?" I couldn't help but raise my voice. "Call an ambulance." Hearing my eldest son's pained voice, I called my husband and immediately phoned for an ambulance. I felt responsible. Honestly, that's what I thought. He must have caused himself gastroenteritis from overeating. After eating lobster, he had finished all the rice even after I left the room. I got into the ambulance with him, and my husband followed in the car. It was night, but they examined him right away. I got a call from Karen, and when I told her we were heading to the hospital in an ambulance, she hurried over. "Mike!" She called out our son's name as she burst into his hospital room. For now, he was on an IV drip, going back and forth between the toilet and bed, but the doctor said his symptoms should settle down with time. I left our son in Karen's care and returned home with my husband. "It's overeating. His own fault," Henry said, echoing my thoughts. With Karen by our son's side, there seemed to be no need to worry. We rested easy that day and went to the hospital again the next day. Food poisoning? The next day, the doctor informed my husband and me of our son's diagnosis. It seemed it wasn't just overeating after all. When asked if anything comes to mind, I said, "We did eat mackerel yesterday." "Mackerel? It could be anicosiasis. His symptoms have settled, so we can perform an endoscopy," the doctor suggested. "That would be best. We need to know the cause." I agreed, but the mackerel had been frozen and thoroughly cooked. I couldn't imagine it harboring anicosiasis. As I pondered this, the doctor explained the situation to my son. My son agreed to the endoscopy and changed into the examination gown provided by the nurse. The hospital room was now just me, my husband, my son, and my grandson, Tom. Today happened to be a Saturday. My grandson, who was off from school, had come from Karen's parents' house early this morning. "It's all because of the meal Mom made," my son said, glaring at me. I had no words to return. Though not intentional, I felt responsible. "Why are you changing?" Karen, who had just returned, asked. Come to think of it, I hadn't seen her for a while. She must have been in the bathroom. I explained what the doctor had told me. "What? Is he okay to have an endoscopy when he's feeling sick?" Karen voiced her concern. "I'm in pain too, and would rather not do it. But the symptoms aren't going away. It might be anicosiasis, causing peritonitis. If it gets worse, It could even lead to surgery, and it's all because of Mom." Hearing my eldest son's words, Karen also looked at me. "But that mackerel was frozen. Anasachiasis should be okay if it's frozen, right? And it was well cooked." "But look at me now," my son shouted at me angrily. "Mom, is what you just said true?" the nurse who entered the room asked, opening the door. It was a relief to see her. It was my daughter, Emma. She worked as a nurse in this hospital. We had informed them yesterday that we were Emma's family. Having come to work, Emma must have heard from someone and come to check on us. "Ah, good morning," I greeted my daughter. "But is it true about the mackerel being frozen?" "It's true. It was properly frozen." Upon hearing this, Emma hurried out of the room. Shortly after, the doctor returned and asked me for confirmation. "Sarah, I heard the mackerel was frozen. Is that true?" I nodded at his words. "Then the likelihood of anasachiasis is extremely low. Anasachiasis are fine if frozen. Eating that wouldn't cause food poisoning. Did you eat anything else that might be of concern?" His words made me ponder. I had thought it was all because of the mackerel I cooked. And I thought again. Yesterday, we had mackerel soup and sautéed spinach. My husband and I ate it too, but we feel fine. Then I remembered something. Oh, but my son ate lobster alone. I didn't miss the change in Karen's expression at my words. Come to think of it, Karen had been disturbed the moment I mentioned yesterday that my eldest son had eaten lobster. She was the one who had urged me to go to the bedroom in a hurry. Thanks to her, I found my son in bad shape in the bathroom. "Karen, do you know something?" I asked. She stiffened. "Karen?" My son also called out to her. Karen fell silent. At that moment, their son, Tom, stopped playing his game and said, "Is that the lobster Mom bought a month ago?" "A month ago?" My eldest son, my husband, and I all turned our gaze to our grandson. "Yeah, the one I've been keeping in my room for a month. I took it with me when I went back to Grandpa's house yesterday, and I gave it to Dad." At his words, I turned pale. My eldest son also questioned her. "What do you mean? Wasn't it bought yesterday?" Then she began to speak. "So what? You're the one who said you'd send lobster for her 60th birthday celebration. That's why I brought it when it was cheap. What's wrong with that?" "Why were you hiding it in Tom's room?" My eldest son yelled at Karen. "You were the one who said Sarah was being annoying, and it was just to irritate her. I thought a little stomach pain would do." "I meant I wouldn't eat something I can't because I'm allergic to shellfish, just to spite her by eating it in front of her." Listening to their argument, my husband seemed completely angry. "Both of you are to blame. Apologize to Sarah." My husband's yelling echoed in the hospital room. I calmed him down. It was clear that both had acted with malice. "We can't keep them in our house anymore," I declared. They stopped their arguing. "I'm sorry, I went too far," my eldest son apologized, confused by my calm demeanor. "Right, I can't even think of you as my son anymore. Leave the house once you're discharged," my husband added. "Please wait, Henry, I'm really sorry." Karen collapsed on the spot. "In the end, Mom was fine, so please forgive us," my son said, trying to gauge our reaction. But forgiveness was not in my heart. "Take care, then." I said only that, and we left the hospital, leaving the two behind. According to my daughter, they continued to blame each other after we left. "Mike, Karen, calm down." Emma tried to soothe him, but the fight didn't stop. "Emma, can I go home now?" Tom, fed up with his parents, had returned to our house first. I hadn't even noticed his return since he went straight to his room. Ultimately, the atmosphere between the two remained hostile even after discharge. Karen stopped washing my son's clothes, and of course, I had no intention of doing it either. Eventually, they got divorced. Karen left our house with Tom. She was a daughter-in-law who often stayed away long and was absent when needed. I had been considerate all this time, but somehow I felt relieved. "Let's live together happily like before," my eldest son suggested, but my husband got furious again and finally kicked him out of the house. We transferred the ownership of our properties and house to our eldest and second daughters. Although there was a gift tax, my husband laughed, saying it was better than leaving it to someone we disliked. The husbands of our daughters thanked us, and they redid the celebration for my 60th birthday. At that time, our eldest daughter came back from Spain to our house after several years, and we all had a great time. Seeing our grandchildren's smiling faces, I was truly happy. Later, our second daughter's family moved from their apartment to our house. Their apartment was our property, too. We transferred its ownership to her, and it started generating rental income. Our eldest daughter was overjoyed as well, saying that thanks to the property she inherited, the whole family could visit us several times a year. Spending time with our real daughters was effortless and very relaxing. The family grew larger, and my husband seemed happy. Although I sometimes had to be careful around my second daughter's husband, he was a kind man who always looked after us. Honestly, I still can't forgive my eldest son and my ex-daughter-in-law, nor do I intend to in the future. But my eldest daughter taught me something. There's a Spanish proverb, "Living well is the best revenge." Don't you think it's a good saying? Betty said with a smile. Yes, it is, I smiled back. If there's any revenge to be had, it's for my husband and me to live happily.